Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. This is Bryan here, your web design educator at Shaw Academy. So sorry, just get this slide open there. So good evening, good evening, good evening. I shouldn't say tea, I should just say two. So you're all extremely welcome to the Ultimate Web Design course, Lesson 2, the practical session. So hello everyone out there. So I already ran a sound check earlier, so hopefully the audio is still holding up for you all out there. How's the audio doing, guys? Is it all still all right there? Perfect, excellent. All right, well then I'll just start greeting. So hi there, Dirk. Hi there, Steve, Cindy, Harry, Dina, David, Elizabeth, Sue, Sabrina, Christine, Chris, Donna Marie, Carmen, Sodom, Ike, Jeannie, Willem, Jeannie, Kelsey, Chris, Sabrina, Abdalrahman, Heinrich, Russell, and Maria. So hello everyone out there. I'm very sorry if I'm missing any names. They're going by so quickly. So a very big hello to all of you. Oh, I'm very good, Christine. Very good. So hello there. I'm not actually sure where is VA, Christine? VA. Virginia. Very good. Well, very glad to hear the hurricane is going to miss you out there. We're getting beautiful weather here in Dublin this evening, so it's very nice. So this lesson. So in the last lesson we were discussing more about CSS. So let's just have a quick recap of that before I tell you what we're going to cover in this lesson, and then we'll actually have a discussion of how you want this lesson to go. So just remember the cascading order. So the cascading order determines how styling rules will be applied. So rather than me just listing them off for you, can anyone remember what is at the top of the cascading order? If you remember, we have 6 types of style sheets, and there are 5 levels to this. Okay, so we have 6 types of style sheets, and there are 5 levels. So what sits at the very top? Very good, guys. Very good. I can see a lot of people are getting the answers. The answer is, of course, the user style sheet. Yeah? Sorry, excuse me 2 seconds. So yes, so the user style sheet sits at the very top, and if you remember, that is very important because if a user has some kind of sight disability or reading disability, they can apply their own styling. So of course you don't want to overwrite that in your own styles, because there's no point insisting that all your links are blue if your user is not able to see it. Yes, so the user style sheet comes above all else. All right, and then what falls next in the cascading order then? What type of our styles fall next? Very good, guys. Very good. Remember, we have 2 Yep, very good. All right. So the next one down the line was, of course, inline. Yeah. So we've got user style sheets, and then after that, we've got the inline styles, and that is where, and the inline styles is when we actually apply the style attribute. Yes, we have the style attribute. So just as we have the class attribute, we have the ID attribute, well, we also have the style attribute. So we can add attributes directly into our tags. Now, it's not very highly recommended because it gets very messy. Because can you imagine if you are being a very good web designer, you've got all your styles and all your documents all neatly laid out, JavaScript in one file, CSS in another file, HTML files all around. Well then, if you wanted to go back and change a few of your styles, you saw something was wrong, you'd be very annoyed if you were looking through your CSS and then you discovered that it was inline styling left, right, and center that was messing you up. And you had like 3 documents open trying to just fix some colors. So it can get very annoying. So we try to stay away from inline styling if we can. All right, so third one down is... Yeah, so the third one on the cascading order. Now there's really 2 terms we can use for this one. This isn't the one where there's 2 of them sitting on the same level, but there are 2 ways that we can describe this, and so far each one is correct that I've been seeing. Very good, guys. Very good. So we've got embedded styles. Yeah, so embedded or internal styles. Yeah, so I try to stay away from the word internal simply because at this stage, simply because we also have inline. They can appear quite similar. So embedded styles or internal styles, as we call them as well, are those styles that we wrap into style tags in the head of our document. Yeah. So if we think about it that way, so the user styles have to take precedence, and then the next one down is the inline styling. And if we remember specificity, yeah, the more specific the rule is, the better it will be applied. So inline styling, you're applying the style directly to an element using the attribute. So that's obviously, you're being very specific there. I want you to style this. And then we have the embedded styles, which lie inside our HTML document, inside the style tags at the head. Also not recommended, because we like to split up our code, but still, that is still very specific to our document, because even though it's not in line, it's attached to this HTML document. You know, it can't be anywhere else because it's written directly into this document. Those styles are only going to be applied to this particular page. So that's, again, very specific. So that's the cascading order number 3. Then what lies underneath embedded? Yeah. So you can say either one. Oh, I've given away the answer. But yes. So very good, guys. Very, very good. We've got linked or imported. Yeah, so linked and imported lie on the same level of the cascading order, because imported are technically like linked style sheets, where you'd link to a style sheet and then you'd import styles into that linked style sheet. So they do fall on the same level of the cascading order there. And that is actually perfect, because if you're using something that is you know, when you're adding style sheets, so say something, if you've got a very heavy framework, you know, like, believe me, when you get into a very large development, and there's a lot of chopping and changing, and the client keeps changing their mind on what they want to involve and everything like that, and you're saying, yes, of course, because they're paying you more money to make all these changes, well then this kind of order works out really well, because that's eventually when you're going to start using inline styling, is when those bigger developments, when you realize that you've already did the development, you've already done all your planning, and you've followed your plan to the T, and then you get to the end, and your client wants you to change one small thing on one page. Well, then you might be much easier to just go into the inline styling and just add that one piece of code there. So that's really how the cascading order can help us there, so we don't have to mess around with our linked style sheets. And then what falls at the very bottom of the cascading order then? All right, very bottom of the cascading order. Very good, guys. Very, very good. Very bottom of the cascading order are the browser default styles. Yes, the styles that are just given by the browser by default. So they're made to be overwritten. Yeah, because if you're any web designer worth his or her salt, will know CSS. You know, you can't really be a web designer. You can be a web creator. I guess you'd be a web creator if you didn't know CSS, but you're a web designer because you have the cascading style sheet language underneath your belt as well. So that is where we go. Let me see. Yes, there is certainly a lot of time saved through linked. So that is actually a very good point, David. So David brings up the point, is there time saved by using linked if you have the same style sheet for multiple pages? That is exactly one of the huge reasons why we do link style sheets. Because if you remember from the introduction course, and for a lot of the sites that we're building, and that they are popular, again, these one-page websites, well, it's still better to have a linked style sheet, because it means that if you want to add another page, you don't have to, you know, copy and paste all your styles into the head. You don't have to create new pages. You just add the link. So it's just like adding all the bootstrap. Exactly, Marina. So Marina says huge saving using the link. You can link to all your pages, and one change will change the entire site. That is exactly right. That is exactly right. And no, sorry, Gilmore, I don't actually think there's any other listening mode available to you. I know that I'm able to call in on the phone and broadcast out audio to you that way, but we don't use it. We use the audio. I'm speaking to you through a microphone here. So yeah, so that's how we should all do. So just to clarify, yes, we should all be using linked. Yeah. So the proper way to do web design is really to separate it, because and it's good to get this down now that we're moving on to the more advanced projects. Simply because if you need to collaborate with someone, yeah. So eventually you'll be lucky enough to collaborate with a developer or another designer or something like that. And it's absolutely torture trying to read someone else's code. Believe me, it's absolute torture trying to figure out what someone else is trying to achieve. And all you've got to go on are the programming languages, are the computer languages. So it's very, very handy to have them all separated, because if you want to go to the styles, well, then you know they're in the CSS style sheet. If you need to change, if something's wrong with the functionality, well, then you know you go straight to the PHP or to the JavaScript files. And if you want to change the flow or add more actual content to the body of the site, well, you know straight away I can go to the HTML file. Yeah. That is exactly what I mean, Raymond, using the @import, and we'll cover that. We'll actually cover @import next week when we go into mobile styling. I'll throw an @import there as well. Okay? All right, very good, very good. So that was the cascading order. So let me just quickly click through all these empty animations. And there we go. And then all things being equal, any conflicts will be won by the last style sheet applied. So if you remember, I gave you the example of including our style sheet after we include, say, a framework like Bootstrap. So we'd include the Bootstrap framework link, and then afterwards we would link our own personal style sheet, because Bootstrap's going to style the anchors, they're going to style the typography, they're going to style the headings. So Bootstrap is going to make all the links look nice, and they're going to add a bit of different color. But if you want the link colors to maybe go in theme with your logo, if you had a red logo and you want all links to be red, well then you're going to want to have your link style sheet sitting below the Bootstrap one, because then you don't have to use specificity to beat the links. Then you don't have to say, oh, because Bootstrap will just style all links by saying A color blue. Yeah, so that's the way they are. It's the lowest on the specificity scale. While your style sheet, you'll be able to do the exact same thing. You'll be able to say A curly brackets color red, and that would overwrite the Bootstrap one, because all things being equal, any conflicts won by the last style sheet will be applied, so we don't have to worry about specificity when we take advantage of the cascading order as well. All right, perfect. Okay, so in this lesson, what I want to do is I want to go through some image manipulation applications with you, if that's all right. I want to introduce you to the GIMP application, and I also want to have some fun in the Inkscape application. Now, the plan for this lesson was to keep going through special CSS selectors. Now, I'm going to give you guys a choice. Yeah, I'm going to give you guys a choice, because I can cut and change here. Would you like me to continue? Oh, sorry. Would you like me to continue going down through that list of Gracie of the 30? Would you like me to keep going down on the list of the 30 CSS selectors, or do you think you're able to handle that yourself? See, I'm just trying to see what's the best thing. I want to be able to teach you all the stuff that you're not able to pick up by yourself quite easily. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I'm getting a lot of people who would. All right, well, that's no worries. What I can do is I can turn those 30 selectors into a PDF for you. Let me write that down. I'll turn those 30 selectors into a PDF for you to make it easier. So 30 selectors to PDF. And what I'll do is, so I'll turn those 30 selectors into a PDF, and we'll throw it into this lesson's notes, all right? And so this lesson, because it can be quite difficult, especially if you've never experienced these applications before, and I know it took me days to figure these out without a trainer behind me. So what we'll do is we'll actually go into Inkscape, we'll go into that, I'll show you how to edit some pages. So a lot of people would like to know, how do you change something into a PNG? How do you remove a background? How can you make an image look a little bit better? All that kind of stuff. And then I'll show you quickly how we can mock up a quick SVG. And listen, if you take a look through those 30 CSS selectors and the links, like I said, I will turn them into a PDF and drop them into the notes. But if any of them are giving you any trouble, I think that would be easier. Yeah, so if any of them are giving you any trouble, or one that you find extremely fascinating, well, then we can do a live demo on that, because I was trying to come up with a project that would do them all, but it's just impossible to try to think about it to try and do it that way. It's much easier for you to come up with to solve solutions to existing problems than to try to come up with problems to figure out the solutions. If you get what I'm trying to come across. So SVGs are scalable vector graphics. Yeah. So SVGs are scalable vector graphics. So that's no problem at all. That's no problem at all. That's no problem at all, Charlene. No problem at all. Hopefully it will come back to you. All right, so very quickly, let's just recap on this flowchart, yeah? Let's just recap on this flowchart. So it's been a few months now since some of you have taken this flowchart, but things haven't changed. We're still using the same 3 big file types on the web, and same for all your projects. So let's just refresh your memory very quickly. So is it animated, guys? If you have an animated image, what of our 3 image types are we going to use? So we've got a choice of GIF, PNG, and JPEG. So if the image is animated, what do we want to use? Fantastic, guys. Straight off the mark. Excellent. We want to use a GIF simply because a GIF supports transparency. Yeah, so if you want animation, you have to forget about the colors that are in it. You have to forget about everything else. It's just because it's animated, we're going to want to use a GIF. All right. If it's not animated, if there's transparency in the image, yeah. So if there's transparency in the image, what kind of image do we want to work with? What kind of image file type? Excellent, guys. Absolutely fantastic right off the bat. And a few of you are throwing out a few curveballs there. Well, the flowchart says use a PNG, but I'm sure those people who are saying to use a GIF again, I'm sure you can judge that as well. So remember, this is a simplified flowchart. So of course, if it's a tiny little stick icon and you think you'd be better off using a GIF, go ahead and use a GIF. But chances are, the PNG, when you're dealing with transparency, you're normally dealing with logos, you're normally dealing with icons anyway, and just PNG will give you a nice crisp image, and it will give you full color support, because if you remember, a GIF only supports 256 colors. Not an awful lot in today's world. We've got over 60 million available to us, yeah? Especially with all these HD Retina displays and everything like that. We'd like to make full use of that. All right, so it's not animated, it's not transparent, but it has a text overlay on it. It has a text overlay on it. All right, so this is like a meme. Yeah, so imagine if we go to a meme and we have a text overlay on it. Ooh, now this was the trick question, guys. This was the trick question. Can I ask you, what kind of compression does PNG have? Is PNG lossy or lossless compression? Is PNG lossy or lossless compression? Exactly, guys. So PNG is lossless compression, yeah? So PNG has lossless compression, which means that we can resize it and it won't throw away a lot of the quality, yeah? How many of us here remember Windows 98? How many people out there remember Windows 98? Really the transition of Windows 98 into Windows XP? Because that's the first time I used PowerPoint. All right, so that's the first time I learned how to use PowerPoint. I remember I had a Windows 95 computer, and then I was in late primary school. Then we started using Windows 98, and then I remember the transition to Windows XP because I started using Microsoft Office back then. I must have been just maybe 9 or 10 years old. But I remember I used to have a huge problem, yeah? Because all the images were JPEGs, and because JPEGs have lossy compression, they lose compression. Does anyone remember adding an image to like a presentation, and if you resized it too small, you try to make it big again, it would just appear as one big pixel. If you made it really small and then dragged it out again, it would just be one giant pixel on the screen. Do you guys remember that frustrating thing? You had to make sure you resized it the right way first time, yeah? Or else it would mess up. That is because of the lossy compression. That's because back in the day, well, you were dealing with a 20 gigabyte, a good laptop had a 20 gigabyte hard drive in it. So to save on all the space, a lot of lossy compression was doing, and that's what was happening there. So that is the problem when we have a text overlay. We actually want to use a PNG because of its lossless compression that we have in PNG. So we also always have a beautiful clear text on top of the image without any of those horrible artifacts that we start getting with JPEGs. So then, if it's not animated, if it's not transparent, and it doesn't have a text overlay, so chances are, if it's not animated, no transparency, and doesn't have text overlay, we are dealing with a photograph, yeah? We're dealing with something with most likely, because it came from a camera, it's taken from real life, it's got a huge range of color. There's a lot of data being held inside there. So we are going to want to use what? Fantastic, guys. Exactly right. We are going to want to use a JPEG. We're going to want to use JPEG simply because of its lossy compression. I'm sorry, I might have been saying PNG is lossy. I'm just thinking back in my head. These two words. Anyway, JPEG throws away all that data, yeah? So JPEG throws away all that data. Oh, I didn't? Very good. Okay, good. So JPEG actually throws away all that data that it doesn't need. So it doesn't need to scale. So if you have your beautiful image and you want it as your background of your web page, well, it shouldn't have to ever go wider than 1,200 pixels, yeah? Now, if you take that picture and you open up RAW on your computer, you'll see that picture is probably about 5,000 pixels wide. No one is ever going to be viewing it at 5,000 pixels wide on your web. Well, certainly, they might be viewing it on a presentation, but that's a very rare case. And, people accept a bit of degraded quality on a presentation, but it's certainly not enough of a justification that someone might view view this web page on a presentation sometime in the future, that's not a good enough justification to force all your desktop and mobile users to download that extra data. It's just slowing down your site, and you will lose users because of it. Yeah. So JPEG, Joint Photographics Experts Group. Thank you very much for that, Ahmed. Perfect. Yeah, so GIF, PNG, JPEG. So they were the three main types. Now, I did see a question coming up asking about TIFF and asking about other file types. I would recommend you wouldn't use TIFF on the web simply because they're editing files. Yeah. So these are the three ones. These are the three great file types to have. These will be. I can't imagine these guys going away anytime soon, and they're just used across all devices as well. A PDF is really is kind of a document anyway. Yeah, so a PDF wouldn't be for an image, right? So TIFF is really for and ICO for icons. Yeah, but they would be icons. They're not really dealing with images. What I'm really dealing with here, guys, is really just stuff that so the common stuff that you're adding to your site. So anything, so images of products, images of background images, all that kind of stuff. You know what you would count as an image, and that is when these three things come in. All right. So SVG. So what are SVGs? Well, SVGs are these fantastic scalable vector graphics, and this is actually an SVG right here. I'm pretty sure it is. Let's have a quick inspect and take a look. I'm guessing. Let's see if this is a. Ah, yeah, this is an SVG. I can see it's an SVG right here. So I can see this is built all using math. Let's just create a new pen. So an SVG is a scalable vector graphic. Yeah, so it's built using vectors. It's essentially built using math. So let me see if I can find it. Ah, well, it's there someplace. I don't think I can link to it that easily here. But anyway, so that's an example of an SVG there. Is that an SVG? I can't tell because I can't inspect that. But it could be an SVG. So SVGs are becoming very popular simply because you can have one file size, yeah, because the file size doesn't change, which is fantastic. Yeah, so if we have if you have a logo that can be converted to an SVG, well then the file size of that SVG file will not change. If you get what I mean. So it doesn't matter how big or how small the image is displayed, the file size will be exactly the same. Let's take a look at browser support. BROWSER SUPPORT for SVG. Let's see what its most current can I use. Thank you. So guys, this is a fantastic website for you all. Actually, just as per usual, I will open up my my Facebook page here, just so I can copy these links over, so I won't be forgetting about them later. And guys, just a quick apology now. I'm sure some of you caught the recording where the sound didn't come out at all. So unfortunately, I had to do a re-recording of the last lesson. But hopefully everything came out. Please let me know if I did forget anything, and we can discuss it. And we can discuss it at a later time as well. All right. Ah, come here. Ah, da 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 da. Da. That was it, yeah. Sorry, guys, I've got a very, very, very long Facebook password. So there we go. All right. Okay, so let me just open that up. So can I use, so SVG, basic support, not supported by Internet Explorer 8. So again, we have to have a fallback for Internet Explorer 8. So that's an annoying part of it. So it won't work in Internet Explorer 8, but it seems to work in every other browser. So like that's exactly why we need to get rid of this browser here. Microsoft has to just go back to doing whatever they do and just get away from Internet Explorer or Edge. But it seems to work at Edge. It should work at Edge because Edge came out after that. But anyway, it seems to be working Edge. It seems to work everywhere except for Internet Explorer 8. All right? And then below, of course. So it's not going to work in Internet Explorer 6. But I don't think we have to worry about IE6 anymore. Let's take a quick look. IE6 market share. Let's just quickly see. Well, remember the first time I looked at this used to be all the way up at 13% when I first started watching this countdown clock. So let me just see. Internet Explorer, INTER, net, EXP. All right, so there we go, 10, 11, 7. Oh, it doesn't even go down to 6 anymore. Oh, well, Internet Explorer 7 has only got 0.57%. So yes, it is going out. It is going out. You have no idea. If you think if you think trying to add in fixes for Internet Explorer 8 is going to be difficult, ooh, Internet Explorer 6 was a whole different story, Alright, so we can pretty much use SVG very, very much around the web. Like I said, we do need to provide fallbacks, and I will provide you code to do that. But for this lesson, let's actually go in and we'll start manipulating some files. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab an image from around the web. So let's just find a funny cat. Alright, so let's just grab an image. Alright, now which one do I like most? I think I like, oh, I like that. Yeah, okay, but let's just make this a little bit bigger. So size large. Alright, so here we go. Which one of these can I use? I think I will use this guy here. I like this guy. Perfect. Alright, so I'm going to save this image just to my computer here. And I'll save it to my desktop. Perfect. Now I've got this application here called the GIMP application. So the OpenGNU image manipulation program. All right. So that's what this is here. GIMP, GNU image manipulation program. Be careful when Googling for it. You might get a shock. So you can grab the download files here. And then you can just download that there. You can either download it using a torrent, depending on how your internet speed is, or else you can download it directly. It's small enough that a direct download should be fine. And this should actually recognize your browser anyway. So if you're on a Mac, that should say Mac. If you're on Linux, say Linux. Anyway, you can also just grab the direct links from here as well. Oh yeah, they even say we think your OS is Microsoft Windows. Yeah, so you just download that there, and then you install the file. Can you use public images on Google on your own website? No. I'm going to say a direct no to that. Google have no right to give you a license for any images. They're just an index site, so you still have to see who owns the copyright. Now, granted, all across the internet, people just steal. Yeah, people steal left, right, and center. In fact, who is that artist? Is it Leonardo da Vinci, or was it someone else who said, what is it? Good artists create, great artists steal. And that is really how the internet is really brought around the place. If you want to see great movies, watch something like Pirates of Silicon Valley. Watch how they built the first DOS and Apple computers. Just watch how they did it. All they did was just steal everyone else's technology and put it back together. All before open source really became key. So let me just see here. So no, you shouldn't really you shouldn't trust. See this? More tools, search tools, usage rights, label for reuse. So I guarantee that not all of these images are actually available for reuse, because what can happen is that someone can download an image, yeah? So someone can download an image that isn't available for reuse, put them on their website, and their website might be governed by a free for use policy. Google doesn't know any better. They would find the image on your site. You're telling everyone that it's free to use when really you stole it in the first place. So that's really what's happening there. So really, if you're doing this for someone else, if you're making these kind of things for someplace else, you need to get some stock photographs, yeah? So Pixabay is one. If you want to go into Bryan's Design Resources, in fact, Bryan's Design Resources has got a whole list of these applications, and you can add some more stuff in there, any ones that you find. So free high quality images from Pixabay. And then, of course, if you're doing a professional development, I would recommend Shutterstock. Yeah. If you're doing a professional development, I do Shutterstock. Creative Commons is another one. Free to use is another one. Like, there's loads of these sites out there. Professional development, Shutterstock has got a wide range, and you pass the cost over onto your client. You explain clearly. You know, if they need this image, you tell them whether you can make the image yourself, and it will take you X amount of hours, and this is how much you charge for an hour, or else they can pay €30 to get the image from Shutterstock. So, you know, you give them the opportunity cost there. And of course, guys, like I said, you can make these yourself, because we do have Photoshop courses here and everything else there. So do add them to your dashboard and get used to using, and just get a little bit of experience with the Adobe products as well. Unfortunately, I don't have Adobe licenses for my web design course, so I stick personally to GIMP and to the free ones, just simply because I was brought up with them. So I know how to use Photoshop, but I actually much prefer using this. I don't have to go through the whole process of setting up Photoshop and everything like that. So this is the GNU image manipulation program. All right. So this is This is the GNU image manipulation program. Let me just bring up that funny cat image and we'll throw it in here. So minus, where are you? Where are you, funny cat? There you are. So I'm just going to drag you in here onto my canvas. So there we have a cat, okay? There we have a cat. All right, so what can we do to this cat? Well, first of all, let's just see if we can make it smaller. Yeah, so say if I have this cat image here, let's just take a quick look at it. So here it is here. Let's just properties of this cat image. And we can see here that this cat image is actually quite small. It's coming at 133 KB, but that could actually be much smaller because I can see up here that it's actually coming in at a width of 1,600 by its dimensions is 1,600 by 1,012 by 1,200. Yeah, so that's still very large to be displayed on my website, unless this is going to be the only thing in a big hero image. Well, then if I want to display this a little bit smaller, well, I might want to export it as something smaller. So File, and I can export as, yeah? So I can export it as, and then I can export it as any one of these image file types, yeah? So I can export as any one of these image file types, so I've got all these different ones in here, but remember the ones that we like to stick to are the GIF, the PNG, and the JPEG. Right, so I could export it, but let's first resize this image. So what do I want to do to resize this image? Well, first, let's just for anyone out there who has not got a lot of experience with actually how the GUI of most computers work. If we want to save something, yeah, if we want to save something or export something or print something or close something or create something or make something new, it's File. Yeah, we want to do something to the file. Really pay attention to how they actually name these menu bars. These menu bars up here, so people say go to File, and people almost take that as the File button. But that's actually a description of the options that are underneath it. So it's a new file, create a file, open file. Open file is layers, save file, overwrite this file, export this file, print this file, yeah? Then if I want to edit this file, well, of course, I'll go under Edit. Now, GIMP comes with a whole bunch of things. So Select is all my select tools. View gives me actual views, so that's not really anything to do with editing the program. This is how I'm viewing this image. So I can zoom out, I can show grid lines, I can do all that kind of stuff. And then I get over to image. Yeah, so now this is going to edit the whole image. All right, so if we see here, I can duplicate the image. I've got different modes, so I can change this to grayscale. I can convert the color, the amount of colors that this thing has. I can transform the image by flipping it horizontally, flipping it vertically. So just really so now from this point forward, especially if you haven't got a lot of experience with really navigating all around computers, pay attention, all the stuff that you do automatically, pay attention to how they've been labeled, because a lot of thought goes into the psychology of these menu bars. And this is why you're able to sit in front of such a complicated machine. Just look at your computer for a second. Look at all the buttons. Look at all the options available to you. Yeah, just take a look around. And that is meant to be used intuitively. You are able to sit down and open up a lot of new applications and know instantly where to go because of all the psychology came into it. So image is to change anything to do with the whole image. Yeah, so this is going to target the whole image here. So I can see here I can change the canvas size. So what is the canvas size? Well, if this is the image, well then the canvas is what the image sits upon. Yeah, so at the moment the canvas size is exactly the same size as the image. If I was to change the canvas size, I can see here, same size as the image, but if I was to bump that up, yeah, so there we go, I'm making it wider, I'm making it taller. In fact, I'll just type in a value here. We'll make it 3,000 pixels by 3,000 pixels. Yeah, and then what I can do here, I can set its offset, so I can manually offset it and move the image around on its canvas, yeah? So now I've got a bigger canvas to work with, or else I can just click the center button and it will put it dead center. So let's see what that looks like. So let's resize that, and we'll see what happens. So now you'll see I've got all the space to draw on around the image. So I've got a bigger canvas to work with. So I can add more images, I can edit stuff out. I've just got more of a canvas to work with. So let us get rid of that now. So now I want to edit the whole image again. I want to get rid of all that canvas. So I could either shrink the canvas down and take the image size, or else what I can do is I can do this auto crop image. So what auto crop will do, it will remove empty borders from this image. Another great thing about computers is that if you're calm and collected, it means that if you are calm and collected, a computer will help you. What a lot of people do, and I see it all the time with my parents, with older generations, and with them, and with my aunts and uncles, and even my friends who have not got a lot of experience with computers, they're constantly going, what's that, what's that, what's that, what's that, what's that, what's that? But if you pause for just a few seconds, it will actually tell you. Yeah, it will actually tell you what a lot of the options are. So let's go for auto crop. So what is auto crop? It will remove the empty borders from the image. Let's do that. And there we go. We're back down to our image size again. So now I actually want to shrink this image. So what happens if I want to shrink this image? Well, then I don't want to change the canvas size, because the canvas size is just going to crop the image and make the canvas smaller, yeah? So if I was to change the canvas size and make it smaller, it's just going to really, like, I could change the canvas size to maybe that size and really crop down the image. But I want to just make the whole image smaller. So let's go up to image again. And what I will do is I will scale the image. Yeah, so I'm going to scale the image. So there we have it. So now I can do this. So let's see here. So what am I going to do? Well, let's make this 500 pixels wide. Yeah, so 500 pixels wide. And do you see this little link here? This means that these are going to, that it's going to maintain its ratio. Yeah, so scale means resize, correct. So scale is the same thing as resize. So you see this little anchor here? Because this is linked, because this little anchor is not broken, when I type 500 in here, you'll see that when I click away, this 1200 pixels will change automatically. Yeah, so just let me click away there for a second and you'll see what happens. So there we have it. So it's automatically giving me the value of 375. So if I have that there, that will maintain the aspect ratio. That's what that is doing there. So what that means is that I can just enter a new width or a new height, and it will resize the other value automatically, so it doesn't, you know, screw up the image, doesn't askew the image. Sorry, I should say. And then, of course, I can also change the resolution as well. So the amount of dots per inch that make up this image. Yeah. So at the moment, this image. I actually can't tell how many pixels per inch this image is. I wonder if it will tell me in properties. Does it? Details? Any details here? So this is 96 dpi. All right, 96 dpi. That is what that is at the moment. Let me see if I change this to dpi. Ah, there is no dpi there. Anyway, so I'm going to change this to pixels per inch. Sorry guys, I muted myself. Am I back? Am I back? Yeah? How long have I been gone? Just for a second? Pixels. Ah, yeah. So pixels per inch. Yeah, so that's how many pixels are on an inch of this, take up an inch of this image. So let's just go this. All right, so let's just make this. Actually, I can leave this as 72 pixels per inch, and we can take a look at it. All right, so I'm just going to scale this image. There we go. There we go. So now, that's 500 pixels. It's actually still not bad quality. Yeah, so that's not bad quality. So if I want to display that image at 500 pixels on my website, that's exactly what I would want to do. So if this isn't a gallery image, if I was writing a blog on cats and this was just going to be a supporting image that's not a gallery image, it's just a nice image of a cat that I wanted there beside the article, it's only ever going to be displayed at 500 pixels. In fact, I even set a max width on it to 500 pixels in my CSS. Well, then I definitely go into an image manipulation program like GIMP and I would edit that and I would change that image size to 500 pixels wide. What I do then is I would go to File and I would export it. Yeah, so I can export it as that, and I can export it exactly like it is. But normally, what I do is I have little things, so I would call that SM. Actually, I would call that MD. SM for me is anything smaller than 500 pixels. So that's that, and I just click Export. Oh, what's going on here? What are you asking? Ah, yes. And here's the last bit, guys. Quality. Yep. Quality, quality, quality. So this is the compression rate, really. All right. So remember, PNG is lossless quality. Yeah, it's lossless quality, which means it won't throw away any of the quality. So we'll actually see how that works in a second. But here, this is the compression rate. So I'm going to just leave that at 90. You can normally leave that there 90, so I can just export that there at the quality of 90, and that will give you a smaller file size again. Let's put this over here. Let's see this file size difference. So this one is coming in at 45 KB. Properties. This one's coming in at, how big were we saying? And this one's coming in at 133 KB. All right, so perfect. Yeah. Yes, so we had a few options to save the image there, so you could see I could actually, I could save it. Yeah, but you see, if I go to File, Save, it's really saving it as an editable GIF file, also known as the XCF extension up here. You see this XCF? So this means I can save it, and so I can add images, I can add layers here, And I'm going to go into that very quickly now in a second, so I can add layers, I can do all that kind of stuff, and then I can save it as that, so that I can open up this file again, and it will automatically open up in GIMP for me to continue editing it. But if I want to export it for the web, well then I go File and then export it as an actual image type. The save is really to save it as an editable file, while export is to export it as a usable file. Alright, that's what's happening there. Alright, so let's see, what else can we do with this? What else can we do with this? There's not really much I can do with this image. Does anyone out there have any suggestions of what we might want to do? Well, of course, if I want to actually select an area. So say if I just wanted his face, yeah? So I'm just going to grab his whiskers there. So I'm just going to make sure I've got his whiskers. Now if I want to zoom in, I'll hit Control and I will zoom in. And I will go here. And I will go here. Alright, so I'm going to stick to most of the processes that are particular to web designers. Alright, so not really to graphic designers. We're going to stick to the processes that you will need as a web designer. At some point you will be resizing images, you will be cropping images. So that's what's happening here. So I've got his whiskers in frame, I've got the top of the box, so he's almost nicely framed there. I could almost go left a little bit more, just to frame his face a tiny bit better, just by eye. So that's about right. And then I can go edit, then I can go to image. Can I crop to selection here? I should be able to crop to selection. Select. Where's my, sorry, 2 seconds. Edit. Is there crop to selection under edit? No, it must be under image. Ah, there it is, sorry, there it is. Of course. So image, crop image selection. So crop the image to the extent of this selection. So I'll just click that, and there we go. So now I've got a nice image, just close up of that little cat's face there. Alright, so let's see, what other things do we normally do as web designers? Well, normally stuff like this happens, yeah? So normally stuff like this happens. Let me just create let me just open up a new image here that I've got on my desktop. So open. Let's see, who are you? Ah, there we go. We'll open up this guy here. Alright, so there we go. So we've got this guy here. Alright, so this is a nice image. Let's just see. Yes. So guys, here are the artifacts that I'm talking about, yeah? Because this is a JPEG, so when this person drew this image, yeah? You can see quite clearly what they were doing. It's a bunch of circles, yeah? He did a bunch of circles. He did another circle there, which he cut into there. He drew another circle. You can see all the shapes. And then he did a kind of semicircle there. He did another circle there that closed off. And then he just used some connection tools to draw the hat and the body. Yes, so we can see how the image was created. Now you can see what happens because it's a JPEG. You can start to see the artifacts. Yes, so you can already start to see all this data that's been thrown in here that's not needed because they threw out what was there beforehand. So it's come out with a really low file size, but you do end up with these little blemishes. So let's tidy this image up. Yeah, so let's tidy this up. So first of all, there is no transparent background. So let's do a few things. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything by color. And I've got a thing up here, select by color tool. So I first want to make sure that everything black is all the same black color. So first of all, I'm going to click that. I'm going to click the black color here. Alright, now let me zoom in, holding control and zooming in. Alright, now what I can see here is that there's a straight line cutting across here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the threshold until it's picking up a little bit more of the color. So keep increasing the threshold. So that's a bit better. It should be cutting it off a bit. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my fill color. I'm going to select my paint tool to fill everything in. And I am just going to fill the whole selection. Yeah, so I can fill all similar colors, but really I've already selected all the color that I want, so I'm going to fill the whole selection and just click that. So now I've got all that. Alright, now because it's a JPEG, I can't have a transparent background. So because this image file type is already a JPEG image, I can't add the alpha channel. So what I'm going to do here, guys, so this is a very quick tip. So now I've got this all selected. I know exactly what I want. I want to add a transparent background. So there are two ways to think of everything. So one way I could do it is I could select all white things and try to delete it. I'm going to hit a brick wall at some point because there is no alpha channel in JPEGs. But what's another way to look at this? I really just want to have all this black stuff. So what happens if I just copy? Yeah, I've already selected all the black. I copy. I Control N to create a new document. It gives me some options here. So here's my create a new image file option. If I click on these advanced options here, I can add a transparent background. Now this is actually going to take the width and height from my clipboard, which is very handy. So if you copy an image and then you create a new image using GIMP, it will actually have the copied image dimensions applied to the canvas size there. Now I clicked on advanced options, which are normally hidden by default. All I'm setting here, I'll leave the resolution at 72 pixels per inch. That's plenty for a desktop browser. And then we will just go and we can leave that as the RGB. But here's the big thing here. I want to fill the background with transparency. So there we go. There we go. So there it is. So there it is. And I can just copy and paste. And there we have it. Let's just select out here. Now let's take a look at the difference there. So there we have him, and there we have him. Yeah? So not too much of a difference, but they're just simple tricks we can do. Now, what if we want to add some text? Well, if we want to add some text, if you have any experience with the Paint application, this is pretty much the same thing. It's just got a bunch more features. Yes, so, hello, world. Control A, increase the font size. There we go. I can use my move around tool, so the move tool, to grab that and move it around. There we go. You can see there's a new layer up here as well. There's a new layer up here as well, so I can add more layers as well. So what that means is that I can hide layers. So if I'm working with a more complex image, I can hide stuff and put it back in. So guys, really what I would recommend is that you just start experimenting with this. You just open it up and just start creating some images. Okay, so that's the best thing you can do with this thing at this stage. Let me just add a new layer here. So I'm just going to create a new layer. New layer. Keep all that. This layer, I'm actually going to make it a white background. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten this down so this image here sits on the white background, so it's actually merged with the white background again. Because what this will do, as you can see, it's kind of pixelated. Yeah, so it is quite pixelated. But at least I've gotten rid of all those artifacts. Yeah, so it's a little bit more pixelated, but we've gotten rid of all those artifacts that we used to have. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge this down. And there we have it. So now I can do even more stuff. So now I could select, maybe, let's see, what could I do? I could use my fuzzy select tool. So my fuzzy select tool is kind of like it's kind of like what you have in Photoshop with the fuzzy select as well. So you're able to just click things, or else you're able to click and drag to select more things. But I'm just going to click his eyes, and I'm going to color these in, and I'm going to select I can select a pattern fill if I want. Let's select a weird kind of bubble color, and then let's select his other eye there. So just fuzzy select, click on the white space there, paint, there we go, perfect. Let's give him a red hat just to top him off. So again, fuzzy select that, and let's give him a nice red hat. So fuzzy select, paint, blah, and what's that color there? There we go, a nice wooden hat for him, and then one last touch up, and then we'll go like this. And then we'll select another paint tool, and then we'll select another one of these colors, and we'll give them a nice leafy hat as well. So there we go. So there are all the parts. So there's loads of stuff that we can do with GIMP. So I'd really recommend the best way to learn these applications is to actually just open them up and just start working on them, especially at these early stages, because if you're wondering what any of these do, try them out. Yeah. So just try them out. Just grab one, grab your paintbrush tool, and see what these things do. This one isn't actually doing anything for me. Is this one going to do anything? It's not doing anything because I'm not on the layer there. Is that going to do anything? No, not yet. What are these? Size. Increase the size. Perfect. Can't seem to paint on top of them, unfortunately. Yes, sorry. So here's another thing about GIMP. It's actually a very handy feature. So say if I wanted to color him in, yeah? So because I've selected, I was wondering why it's not happening here, because I've selected this area. So I'm able to section off pieces of this content to paint in as well. So if you remember from normal paint, it's very difficult to stay inside the lines. But if I want to just grab a paintbrush tool, what I can do is I can grab this, fuzzy select, click here. Yes, so now it's selecting his whole face. And then I can still use my paintbrush tool without worry about going outside the lines. Yeah? So there we go. So let me just Control Z there. Let's just give him a nice beard. There we go. So, hello world. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So there's our nice little Irishman. Let's save him. We'll file, export him as IRI. IRI.jpg. Export. Keep the compression as 90. And there we go. All right. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, so where's his Guinness? Where's his Guinness, people are asking? Well then, You know what we'll do? We'll create a scalable Guinness. All right, so we'll create a scalable Guinness. So there we go. So there's a bunch of features that we have here. Now, of course, guys, if you want to know what any of these tools do, I would recommend take a deep breath. And if you want to practice with me, just take a deep breath in and out slowly, and then just relax, because just by doing that, you will start to see tool tips come up on your screen. So if you're wondering what any one of these things do, it will actually tell you if you just hover long enough. So that's the flip tool, there's the perspective tool, there's the shear tool, scale tool again, rotate, crop. So there's all there, and you can just click on them and right click as well, just to see what other options are available to you, and you will surprise yourself in how quickly you can pick some of this stuff up. And just play around with it. Pretend you're a kid again discovering Paint for the first time. When I say Paint, I mean the Paint application. So pretend you're a kid again discovering the Paint application for the first time. So here we go. So now we've also got SVGs. So Inkscape. So that was image manipulation. So the GIMP application, you're going to be using far more than Inkscape, guys. You're going to be using GIMP far more than you're using Inkscape, because you constantly need to be editing images. You constantly need to try to reduce the file size, cutting out things, and removing background colors, making things transparent. I guarantee you, your clients will be sending you their logos in JPEG quality, yeah, because they're looking to send you the best quality image. So they'll send it to you in JPEG, which is no good to you because it's got a white background, which doesn't overlay with the color of your menu bar. So you're going to have to open it up in GIMP. They'll send you the highest quality, which will most likely be in a JPEG, and then you'll open up in GIMP. You'll use your fuzzy select to select, or select your color tool to select the white background, and then you can delete it, or you can invert the selection and then copy it into a new file. So that's really why I wanted to show you GIMP there. So we've also got this thing called Inkscape. So let me just close down GIMP altogether. Close. And discard changes. Go away. There we go. So let me just open up the Inkscape homepage very quickly, and then we'll draw up a Guinness. So let me just Control New. There we go. So Inkscape is here. INKSCAPE. All right. So Inkscape, draw freely. All right. So Inkscape, draw freely. Well, first thing, let me just see if I remember how to do this. So this is where you can download this. You can download it. It's for Windows, Mac, and Linux. Please be aware that when you install this on Mac, you need to get what is it? X11, the X11 runner. It kind of allows you to run Windows application within Mac, well, original Windows application. And like I said, don't be discouraged. Open up before you go to bed. Yes, so Inkscape is kind of like the equivalent of Illustrator, while GIMP is the equivalent of Photoshop. So we've got Inkscape here, and just be aware that it will take quite a while to open for the first time on your Mac. So do be patient. I'd recommend you do it before you go to bed, and it will be there when you wake up in the morning. So let me just see what happens if I click and drag this guy in here. Ah, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So image file type, embed. I want to take this from file. Yeah, I'll take the DPI from file. And image rendering mode, none, smooth, or blocky. I think I'll take none. So let's see what happens here. Is this going to create me... will this be a scalable image? Now let me just see. Can I actually do this? I can. Fantastic. All right, so let me just delete this for a second. Let me just create a new... let me see if I can open up a document. So open. There we go. Let me go to my desktop. Let me find the man I just created there. So I got Irie here. There we go. None. That's fine. Is it going to give me the right canvas size this time? Ah, here he is. Here he is. He's just opened up my other screen here. So guys, this is Inkscape. Yep. All right, so this is Inkscape. So this is the man I made. As you can see, the more I zoom in, the more pixelated he gets. So let's see if I can turn this guy into a vector image. So let me first right-click on this. And do I have an option to trace bitmap? Ooh, I don't have an option to trace bitmap here. So let me just do it the other way again. I'll click and drag him onto this one here. Just click OK. Put you out of the way for now. Let's just see if that happens. Hey, go on. Click and drag, drop you in. There he is. Trace bitmap, right click, trace bitmap. And here we go, here's my trace bitmap. So for some reason when I open it up, it's opening up as a JPEG image, but here I've got a new document. Yeah, so don't open one up. What you should actually have to do is you have to create a new document if you want to trace something to a bitmap. So what we're going to do is we're going to trace this image. So trace. And we've got a few options here. So we can have the brightness cut off. I'm going to leave these all as just normal for now. All right, so that's all fine. Let's see a live preview. So it's black and white. Can I make it colorful? There's a whole bunch of options here, guys. So let me just see, colors, there we go. So now I've got a scalable vector graphic. Trace, so what this is going to do is this is going to trace the image I made, yeah? So what I've just made a JPEG image in GIMP, yeah? So I used GIMP to make a nice simple JPEG image. I've now clicked and dragged this into my Inkscape application, and what I'm going to do is I'm going